Hi, welcome to Nerd Culture. I'm Armand Gutierrez. Today with me, I am with one of the most creatives, Aaron Sims. And you might have heard of a show, you might have seen a show, you've actually had to subscribe to a show called Stranger Things, and there's a creature in it called the Demogorgon. And I'm not talking about the figurine, I'm talking about the full-on creature. And this gentleman right here designed and created the Demogorgon. So, first off, say you're welcome to the audience for creating something so wonderful.
Welcome.
And second off, your creatures and your designs, especially with the Demogorgon, they are humanistic, they're realistic, but what do you remove to make them so unnatural and fearful?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, every creature for every project's different. For the Demogorgon, for Stranger Things, the directors had this great vision of like this creature from another parallel universe that comes into ours, and wanted it to be very scary, but have a humanoid kind of silhouette. So in the human silhouette is always a great place to start because it's something we identify with. The other thing is that made it terrifying, really, and the one thing that they actually ask is to have no face on it. It did need to bite, it needed to eat, so we had to come up with an idea and a design that had a lot of teeth. But it couldn't just be a big mouth all the time, so we actually designed something that would open up, be very, kind of flowery in a lot of ways, but with a lot of teeth. And because it has no real true face of like eyes or anything like that, it's terrifying because you don't know where it's looking, you don't know what it's thinking, which is always scary for anything that's going to, try to kill you. Mm-hmm. So that was the basic, idea, having something, again, like you'd see it in a silhouette, slightly recognizable, but you can't quite make it out.
Right.
It's always terrifying.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to choosing the height and having it hunch and the way it reacts or the way it moves or how animalistic or how conscious it has to be, not only for the Demogorgon, but for pretty much all your previous projects, how do you gauge on what's appropriate to make it sentient or not sentient enough?
Yeah, again, this goes back to it depends on the project, of course. So if it's a character that's supposed to be ferocious, have somewhat of a dominant element to the creature, like this one was for Stranger Things was, it was over 8 feet tall. So he's towering these kids, but he's towering anybody, really, which makes it terrifying. Other creatures that we've designed, the company has been like, Clash of Titans, which, you have something that's the size of the Kraken, which is huge. Some others that are, characters, as far as like the hunched over, that is a characteristic of something that looks like it's a predator. So that's kind of why a lot of those characteristics come into the design. When you think of like predators in the wild, like wolves, mountain lions, any of that stuff, that
always hunched over.
Yeah, so that's just something that we always derive from when designing creatures and characters.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is to come up with nature and find how you manipulate it. How do you get those elements that create like horror or whatever that feeling you're trying to get across. But yeah, it's again, it varies on the project and what it needs.
Right, and with every single project being special and taking time to design or understand what's going on, a little birdie, your executive producer, told me it took you only a week to pump this thing out and to come up with the design. How did you do that? Was it naturalistic? Did you just know what was going on? Was it because you were so connected with the directors and because you worked with them before? Why only a week?
Yeah, and it is a fluke sometimes. I mean, a lot of times you work on projects and characters that take, sometimes a year to design, even one. Like working on The Incredible Hulk, it took almost a year to design the Hulk, and everybody knows what the Hulk looks like. But that sometimes becomes those obstacles because it's derived from so many different comics and so many different ways that we've seen it in the past. So that one became very problematic. For this particular one, it is the fact that the directors I have worked with, we had a rapport. They did have this kind of basic idea of like I said before, where it's a humanoid shape with no face, but it has to eat. And so with that gave me a lot of creativity and freedom to create almost anything. So the one thing, as well as I said, it has to be terrifying. So there was about probably 6-7 designs. Not only myself, but a few of my artists did quite a few of the different designs, and they picked one that basically had this flowery face. It was they thought that's unique. That could be cool. That actually speaks to what we need for this creature on everything that we talked about, where it's like horrifying. It's different. It has no face, but it has a mouth. And so that's where we kind of like reverse engineered after that. So the first design that they went with actually did have like that kind of open mouth. And then it was trying to figure out, what does it look like when it's all closed? Does it have a faux face?
Does it come out?
Yeah.
Or is it curved?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
So that took probably another week just to do that, but it was but the first one was almost right off the bat. It was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Which is rare.
Yeah, that is rare.
Yeah.
And it's also not only rare for it to get it to be quit, but to be immediately loved and interpreted and understood.
Yeah.
To be 100% honest, there was a line in the advertisement for Stranger Things that made me actually not want to watch Stranger Things, and it was the line of, "We're going to make first contact," and then immediately cuts to a shot of a van flipping forward.
Yeah.
And that made me go, oh, this is going to be an alien thing. This is going to be a UFO thing. I don't feel like that right now. I'll watch it later, but it didn't completely pull me in. But the thing that did completely pull me in was somebody made a Rick and Morty parody of the creature and Morty, and I saw the flower face, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And it seemed like a natural 80s monster. Flower, teeth, too many teeth, and whatnot. But the parody of that was the thing that made me go like, okay, so what is it for real? And then going through the show and enjoying the show, I never really got to find out what it was for real, which made it all the more alluring and wonderful and great.
Yeah.
And I'm commending you as an artist to not fully show your artistic power and capabilities and being able to hide some of the stuff for the sake of the story, for the sake of the plot, because I really appreciate that. Because like for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you need to know everything about them.
Yeah.
You need to see them do everything, you need to see them skate, you need to see them have the personality and whatnot. But for the Demogorgon, especially for like a D&D reference and whatnot, you don't know how strong that thing you are, you don't know what you need to roll to survive, and I feel like you took that and you put it into the character extremely well with your team and with the whole crew. So that's me thanking you for that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And that's, the directors of the Duffers that was what they really seeked out, is to really embrace the 80s, but not, make a campy 80s thing, but make it feel genuine, of one of those horror films like John Carpenter mixed with E.T., mixed with, the Goonies and a bunch of other things that felt like that era that didn't always show all the creatures like they do now.
Yeah.
And I commend them really for keeping to that. We did there. You're on the finale and you need to see what this creature is, and that's where they showed it off.
Yeah.
And you had to, otherwise everybody'd be disappointed. But but for the most part, they kept you in suspense, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of it. We have a physical one that was built by Spectral Motion, which is a company that I've worked with quite a bit on other projects. Mike Elizalde that runs it. Me and him go way back from Rick Baker days.
Yeah.
Building physical creatures, and so they're amazing talent.
Yeah.
But when it came to what was practical, what you could do in the 80s, and what you can do now, is that no matter what, even if you want it to feel like the 80s, and not show it, there are certain things that this story did that you just couldn't do back then, like coming out of the wall.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that's where it had to be us doing a whole digital creature coming out of the wall.
Okay.
Once they saw the creature coming out of the wall, they realized we could do a lot more that couldn't be practical, but they still wanted to feel practical.
Right.
So that's where we married, the practical with the digital, and I think it was a success with that.
So. Oh, clearly it was a success. Now, let's play with a little bit of fantasy here. You know, in action figure toys, where when you buy an action figure and you're like, okay, it has everything that the character has. Let's say Han Solo, and it comes with his pistol, and maybe Chewie will be in the background on the art or whatever and whatnot. And then you look to the right, and there's a character of Han Solo, but they gave him some kind of battle armor that has nothing to do with the character or anything like that. Are you familiar with those kind of toys?
Yeah.
Okay. What extra thing, non-canonical thing, would you add to the Demogorgon if it was an action figure?
That's actually a tough one. The idea of creating a creature that's fully naked, it's kind of, it's what it is in its natural state. It's coming into our world, doesn't need clothes. I mean, perhaps, putting some kind of clothing on it might, take away. It's a hard thing, actually. That's a hard question because I never designed it thinking that.
Right.
So that is one of those things that...
And that's why I find those toys so campy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would you put a missile launcher on Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
Like, he's a Jedi. He does that.
Yeah.
So, let me make a proposal for you then. How would you feel about laser beams? So on each flap, he had a little laser beam coming out, and so when he opened up and he's eating something, laser beams are shooting everywhere.
Oh my God.
How would you feel that as a side camp toy?
Yeah, I'd say go for it.
All right, rock on.
I mean, with these kind of things, anybody that wants to do anything with that bring these characters or to a new light, and have fun with it, I think it's great. I think it's
awesome.
just yeah. So if you want to put like a dress on it, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Why not?
I'm gonna end it on this question. What's one thing you've always wanted to share about the Demogorgon with either the general public or a group of people or something that you're like, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but nobody knows about it and I've kept it to myself? Do you have anything like that?
There's really it was such a smooth show on almost every level that everything that we created was utilized.
Yeah.
And so and with TV, it's one of those things that happens so quick. It's like with Netflix, you do all the episodes all at once. So it's not like a network or anything like that where it's spread out over, episodes where you're filming it, it's going to... You have a little bit of time before the finale.
Right.
We actually had to do the finale at the same time as the beginning. So one of those is it doesn't allow for like a lot of unusual things to happen because you have no choice. And it's the first thing out is sometimes the last thing that goes.
Yeah.
But with this, there really wasn't. I wish there was. I wish there was a really fun story because there's so many other projects I worked on because of the obstacles that happened. But this particular one was just smooth.
So smooth, so too perfect.
Yeah.
Well, then that's great.
Yeah.
It's like, well, to be honest, it's kind of like the perfect drink.
It is.
It just went out nice and smooth, got you exactly what you wanted, and then you went out into the world.
And what's funny is I work on so many projects, and I enjoy working on all of them, but you never know what the outcome's going to be of most of them. Sometimes you get an idea, but this one I knew was going to be good, but I had no idea how good it was going to be and how genuine it was and how original, feeling that it still was a throwback from the 80s. It still felt original because there's nothing like that right now.
Right.
And it was, I'm just proud to be able to be a part of this.
Right.
So it's just been a joy, and hopefully there'll be many more projects like this that come along.
Well, we as fans, I personally thank you so much, Alan. That's about it. This is Alan. Aaron?
It's okay.
I'm so sorry, Aaron.
Right.
See,
okay.
That's the problem. I got too scared of the Demogorgon and I forgot your name.
Oh,
how about that? Let's go with that.
It was close enough.
It's close enough. Sorry.
Go for it.
I'm Armando Gutierrez. This is Nerd Culture. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.